there everyone, Aaron here. Welcome to another episode of Gideon's Tactical. Today we're checking out the Schrade SCHF9. Extreme survival knife is what this has also been called in the past. This is a pretty thick beast that has a lot of capabilities at an amazing price point of around $40. So let me give you a couple basic specs and then we're going to get out here, begin to baton with it, chop with it, carve, whittle, and see if the Schrade SCHF9 is worth a purchase for you. Alright, let's look at a few of the basic specs here on the F9. What you have is a total weight of 15.9 ounces, so basically a pound, which is awesome, you know, good heavy weight to be able to do some really heavy batoning and chopping. What you have is a 1/4 inch thick spine, full tang construction. Awesome, you gotta love a 1/4 inch thick. It's gonna split wood like crazy, as you're about to see here as we baton with it. Craton handles. What you have is a total blade length from the tip to the handle scales of 6.4 inches and then an actual cutting edge of 5.75 inches. So almost 6 inches there on the cutting edge, which is great. Then the steel is 1095 high carbon steel. This is made in Taiwan. It's not made here in the US. And what I found with this 1095 is that it's a little tougher to resharpen and get a good edge on than, say, my Becker products from K-Bar. And it doesn't hold its edge quite as long, so it probably doesn't have quite it probably has a lower heat treatment on it, making it really nice and tough, but it's just not quite going to hold its edge as long as, say, you know, some higher end products like an Essie or a Rat or a Becker. So but 1095, you can't complain. Comes with a nylon sheath that we'll look at as well as we get through here. So let's go ahead, get out there and begin to use the Schrade SCHF9. Okay, so I want to talk real quick about the handle on the Schrade, and then we're going to start carving here. What you got is Craton handle scales. I really like that a lot. You know, you got your full tang construction, which is really good. You got some jimping here, but the handle scales cover it, so it doesn't really do a lot for you. And it does give you a thumb ramp, so when you're holding it back here, you could definitely do some stabbing, prying, things like that. So you could use this as a tactical blade. I think it's a little too heavy for that, but you could use it. Good finger grooves along here. There's really no hot spots. The problem that I have is that the handle scales are really fat. You can see there, got a really nice flare back here for chopping, but these are really fat right in here, so when you're holding it here and you start carving, it's kind of uncomfortable. You can do it, but, and I wear large size gloves, so I mean I got big hands, and I just don't really care for it. Now if I move up to the nice generous finger choil, and then I can get my thumb over that thumb ramp, then I can go to town and start carving. Then this is a great little carver. Even though it's a 1/4 inch thick, I mean I can still do some really nice shaving. You know, do a tent peg, do a stake if I had to, or a spear very easily with this knife and the edge. You know, it's 1095, so it's not terrible to get an edge on it at all. It's actually pretty easy to get a good fine edge, you know, do that type of cutting. Good recurve there. So I mean, it's going to be a great carver. It's just not very comfortable compared to other knives. And again, I'm going to keep rating this against BK2. The BK2 will have a more ergonomic handle with carving as well as chopping. This isn't bad. And particularly, again, we're talking $40 price point. Awesome. I don't know of another 1095 blade on the market that has the capabilities that the F9 does for that price point, and for, you know, a great bug out bag knife where you're just starting to get into blades and you want to try out, you know, a medium-sized survival knife. The F9 is going to do awesome for your, you know, your carving and whittling. It's not a bushcraft knife. You know, you are going to kind of fatigue your hand because of how fat the handle scales are. It is going to get, you know, kind of tiresome after, you know, 15-20 minutes of carving and whittling. You're going to wish you had another knife, but not bad for kind of a jack-of-all-trades knife, which is what a survival knife is. Nice. Yep. Even though this thing is a 1/4 inch thick, it's got a good belly on it, good recurve right there, so it's going to go right through heavy-duty nylon rope, paracord, that type of stuff. Look at that. No problem. That's awesome. So good cutter of man-made materials, your F9. Oh yeah. Now that really good 1/4 inch thick blade with a good amount of length to be able to span some logs is going to make this Schrade a fantastic little batoner. Now, it's not as long as, say, some really big survival knives like a BK9, you know, or an SP51 or something like that, but it's going to, for the size, be probably one of the best batoners around, and really going to be able to split wood really well for you. Really no complaints complaints, and a really fantastic, look at that, because of that grind angle, just really, really nice batoner, and that 1/4 inch thick. This is going to do anything a BK2 could do when it comes to batoning, with that real nice drop point and the 1/4 inch thick spine. So the F9 weighs a pound, which is a really good weight for this size of knife. And it has a saber grind with a little bit of a recurve into a nice fat belly right there. So if you're hitting and connecting right there, for kind of a medium-sized survival knife, it's a really good chopper. It does a good job. It's got a good lanyard on the back, kind of got a little bit of a palm swell. Now I will say that with connecting with the wood, it's chopping about the same as a BK2, but a BK2 handle is definitely going to be a lot better because it'll keep the knife in your hand, and you can do a lot more chopping. You can see as I chop, you know, the knife is wanting to fly out of my hand. Without the lanyard, it would totally fly out of my hand, whereas that will not happen with a Becker product because of how the handle is designed. But you can see those chips flying. So I mean, it's definitely connecting really well. No hot spots as I chop. I think we can totally break that, but we'll go all the way through. There we go. So not bad chopping capability, definitely better, you know, than other knives like a Rat 7 or an SE6. It's definitely going to chop better than that. It won't chop as good as a BK2 because of the handle construction, but very close to the chopping capability on a BK2. Okay, let's go ahead and take a brief look at the sheath here. You got a molded plastic insert that the knife will go into. You got an adjustable strap with a button, so that's all really good. You got a really nice little set of MOLLE back here that holds this pocket up on front. You know, I'm not a big fan of those pockets. You can remove this one though, which is nice to make the knife sheath a little bit slimmer if you so desire, or you can leave it on. And then you got a little belt loop here that is excuse me, Velcro, so you can put it onto your belt without taking your belt off, so that's always nice. Slip it into place, button this little guy over, there we go. Definitely got some rattle. The deal is that it's really poor nylon and really poor stitching. It's just the way it is. Now remember, you paid $40 for this knife, which is awesome, but this nylon is pretty pathetic. So you are eventually, this is going to wear out pretty quick, and you are eventually going to need to upgrade this. Let me show you a quick option that you could do to upgrade the sheath very easily. This is the Spec Ops basic 8-inch modular sheath. This has been previously reviewed here on the channel. I'll put a link in the description below so you can watch the review on this. This is an aftermarket sheath. It goes for about 30 bucks. It'll hold a plethora of knives, including the SCHF9. Really nice, snug, good Kydex, really good nylon made here in the USA. Hardly any rattle. And totally adjustable, so that sheath handle around the sheath is totally adjustable, has the button, you can snap it off, remove your blade. So that's a really good feature, you know, and I would recommend probably picking one of these up if you are really digging your your SCHF9. If you're really digging this knife, I would recommend picking up this sheath. Will be an amazing augmentation to the knife. All right, guys, I want to talk really briefly about something very important with this Schrade. I have the SCHF9. Now, Schrade has come out with the SCHF9N, the letter N at the end of that 9. That is their 8CR13 MOV Chinese-made Schrade. It is exactly the same in every way, but instead of 1095, it's made out of 8CR13 MOV. And if we can have 1095, I'll take it any day of the week over Chinese-made steel, and particularly 8CR13 MOV. 1095 is going to hold an edge better, and it's going to resharpen quicker, and it's going to be tougher and more shock resistant than the Chinese 8CR13 MOV. So you want to be clear, even though it's not, they took it out of their catalog. I don't know if they're trying to phase it out, Schrade. Please do not phase out the F9 with the 1095. Please keep that in the selection. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, and a lot of us out here. That's what makes this knife fantastic, is the 1095. I really don't care for the 8CR13 MOV model. I would much prefer the 1095 version. So you want to make sure you get the F9, not the F9N. If it has an N, it's the Chinese version. So be very careful when you're placing your orders on Amazon, eBay, that you want to pick up the 1095 version and not the HCR13 MOV version. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and wrap up this video on the Schrade. What I have here are two other knives that I just want to kind of talk about and show you pros and cons of the Schrade design versus these other ones. What we have up top is the SE6, an amazing knife. This thing is going to be a lot more comfortable at cutting tasks when it comes to cutting. The handle is much more ergonomic than the Schrade, and it's 3/16 of an inch thick, so it's a little bit thinner than the Schrade, and it has that really nice full flat grind, has a better heat treat on the 1095 than the Schrade will. So when it comes to carving, whittling, extended cutting tasks, making lots of spears and tent pegs and fire shavings, the SE6 is going to be a lot more comfortable and do it faster and easier than the Schrade will. On the flip side, your Schrade is going to definitely be able to chop and baton better than your SE6 because it's a 1/4 inch thick, which is always awesome with that saber grind. It's going to split wood a lot better than your SE6 would, and it has a little bit of that recurve in the belly, and it weighs more, so it's going to definitely chop better than your SE6 would. But again, the SE6 is going to do all those carving and cutting tasks a lot better. Then you have the Becker BK2, which I've kind of talked about a few times here on the video, and the Becker is not going to baton any better. In fact, it might be even a little bit less of a batoner because the blade is a little bit shorter, so it can't span quite as much as the Schrade will, and they're both exactly a 1/4 inch thick, you know, so they're, and saber grind, so they're going to split about the same. The Schrade may even have a little bit of a leg up because of its longer blade. And then when it comes to the carving, though, the Becker is still going to be better because it has a more ergonomic handle and it has that classic Becker hook back here that will make it a better chopper than your Schrade, and you won't have to reset quite as often as you would with the Schrade. You know, as the knife tries to fly out of your hand, the Becker doesn't want to fly out of your hand, and they weigh exactly the same, the Becker and the Schrade. So are either of these knives you know, better than the Schrade? They're better in some ways and they're worse in some ways. So is the Schrade SCHF9 really worth a purchase for you? Well, this is the thing, guys. This thing, for $40, you're not going to find anything better on the market. Let's put it that way. For 40 bucks, it's a complete home run. You're getting 1095 high carbon steel. The sheath is kind of garbage, and you know it's going to fatigue your hand pretty quick when you are doing lots of carving and cutting tasks. But when it's called upon to do almost any task you throw at it, it will be able to accomplish the task. It may be not as comfortable as an SE, and it may not stay in your hand quite as long as a Becker, but it's definitely going to get the job done. Would I take this over an SE6? Probably not. Would I take it over a BK2? Probably not. But for 40 bucks, you can't beat it, and is definitely going to be tough enough to take on anything you throw at it. So I hope this video has helped you guys out. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching this particular episode of Gideon's Tactical. Please subscribe, comment, like the videos, share the videos, and check out our Facebook page. You can find it on the YouTube homepage of Gideon's Tactical. Like our Facebook page where you'll get updates of upcoming videos, you'll get photos, as well as upcoming gear, new gear releases, you know, that products and companies that are released, as well as behind the scenes footage and bloopers that you'll never see make it to YouTube. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. Stay equipped, stay prepared. We'll see you out there.